Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Luna Nectar Universe. We're so excited to have on our podcast today Stephanie Oswald. She is an advanced level Reiki practitioner. She's also a registered holistic nutritionist, certified health coach, meditation mindfulness guide, sound healer, and intuitive tarot reader.
So before we begin, Steph, why don't you tell us how has your life been the past few months? You know, living in a pandemic and yeah, how have you been?
So, it's been a lot of ups and downs. There's definitely been, for me, the fair share of both highs and lows. This year I found out I'm pregnant. I'm 29 weeks pregnant now. So I found out in February, right before everything got kind of crazy in the world, that I'm going to be bringing life into the world for the first time. And then I got engaged in April, and then I got married in June. So really big milestones in my life, which is funny because these are big things that I've really wanted to manifest, that I've put out, especially in the year prior. I was really trying to put out there next partner is the one. And, this is what I want. I want to get married. I want someone who wants the same things, and I want to have children. And I was really getting into the mindset of not settling and putting out there exactly what I wanted in a partner. And in this crazy year, I have manifested all those things into fruition.
Wow.
And, that's definitely, he's kept me grounded, and that has kept me grateful through all the other challenges. Like I was saying, I moved away from the city I love, and there's been a lot of uncertainty. I haven't been able to prepare for the baby to come into the world because of the uncertainty, and things seem to be shifting towards more stability. So, it's been a bit of a wild ride.
And when are you due?
I'm due October 18th.
So that's going to be a Libra baby, right?
Yes, a Libra. Yeah. And if it comes late, we'll have a Scorpio. Nice. Yeah, so we're both Capricorn. So I'm like, either way, we'll love our Libra or Scorpio.
So we ask all our guests to kind of sign in by telling us, what their sun, moon, and rising signs are. Yeah. So, what are yours?
Oh, I love astrology so much. So this is so cool. I'm a Capricorn sun, Capricorn moon, and I'm a Leo rising. So, I'm very much that. I really resonate with it. I'm very much that loyal, hardworking, things have to be a certain way. I can tend to be stubborn. I might think that I can do it better. I have a hard time delegating, all those pros and cons of both. But, the Leo, I think the Leo rising really softens the Capricorn. I find it makes me a little bit warmer and more personable. I'm very nurturing in nature. So yeah. And my partner's actually Capricorn sun and rising. He's got a Gemini moon, but astrologically speaking, I feel like we're so compatible, and we just understand each other so much.
That's awesome. A lot of matching signs there.
Yeah, I know. And the rest of the chart has a lot too. We have the same Venus and stuff too. So we've got a lot matching.
Yeah.
So, Reiki is a form of energy healing that originated from Japan in the late 1800s and involves the transfer of energy from a practitioner's palm to the patient. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are still really unfamiliar with what Reiki is. So can you tell us a little bit more about what this, modality is all about, and how did you get into it?
Yeah. So Reiki it's such a beautiful practice. It's a very intuitive practice. You're pulling in, as a practitioner, energy from the universe. So I'm never using my own energy. I'm never depleting my own energetic resources. And every session I gives me energy too, because the energy first flows through me, and then through the palms and into the client. And it's just such a beautiful practice because you can, it is very intuitive, and you can let go of trying to make it look a certain way or control, because it is going to do what they're ready for, what they need that day, what the purpose is. I like to go in with intention, but sometimes it's just deep rest. Sometimes people fall asleep on the table. They're stressed out. They just really need deep, deep restorative relaxation. And that's what it'll look like. And sometimes people don't know what they're wanting from it. And we end up going into some deeper stuff and maybe some emotions that are being carried or trauma in the body. And we'll have emotional release, or thoughts will come to clarity, or physical movement will happen. So it's very individual to the person, and it is a very intelligent practice. It did originate in Japan, but I do believe, and a lot of people do believe, that this is an inherent tool that we're all born with, like Reiki or energy healing or whatever we want to call it. And it's just kind of rediscovering what's an innate ability and what we all have the capacity to do. You think of when a child bumps their knee, it's a knee-jerk reaction to put your hands there and, you know, provide that comfort and that soothing in that way. So it always resonated with me that it is that innate ability that we are rediscovering. And Reiki is one way to train yourself to learn how to use that.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I think when I did my session with you, I noticed I had a lot of emotional blockages. And I remember even after the session, I would just start to cry for no reason. And I felt, it was like huge release of, I don't even know, like blockages. I guess that's the only word I can kind of think of, like energy blockages in my body. And I actually felt like I had pain on my knee for the longest time. And I don't even know, it was like acute pain. I don't even know kind of where it came from. And I think after that session, it did like go away. So I can't explain it, but it's like, yeah, it's almost felt like
it is really difficult to explain. Like I've been practicing Reiki for 3 years, and my very first session with it was probably about 4.5 years before, years ago. And I've always had a hard time explaining it because it is such a unique experience, and it is so individual, and it is so intelligent, and it's like things like that can happen. Pain can come up and relieve, but you never know what's going to happen or come up in a session. But I hear that a lot, where it's like you'll notice the pain more, and then maybe you'll notice it more after the session, or by the end of the session it's relieved, but it will relieve from that, you know, movement of stagnant energy. And it's always been really interesting to me to see how it manifests in each individual.
I've only had one Reiki session ever. I wasn't sure about it when I started off with it.
Yeah.
But I had this like big, like knot in my stomach, like almost like I was going to throw up, like anxiety or stress or something like that. And the Reiki practitioner did it on me. And I was actually so surprised. Like afterwards, it was just completely gone.
Yeah. I've heard that a few times. Like people can get pretty anxious before a session. Either like something inherently knows within you that like something could come up, or you don't know what to expect. Or I think a lot of times people think that something's expected of them. Like I need to do something for this to work, when really all your job is to receive and be open-minded, right? But yeah, you're definitely not alone in that, going into a first session feeling anxious and unsure. I hear that a lot for sure.
It's crazy. So what were you doing before your journey into holistic wellness?
Oh, like this has been my whole adult life, really. It started with nutrition. I was a very, very sick kid and teenager. I had a lot of chronic health problems, chronic sinusitis, rhinitis. I had migraines, chronic constipation. I was very unwell for my whole life. I never knew being well. And when I turned 19, I went vegetarian, and I noticed a difference in my digestion because I was eating more vegetables and, less processed foods. And I had gotten a little older, so I had a little more control over my diet versus living with my mom. And it planted that seed that what we consume actually has an effect on our health and our body. And that's where everything kind of started for me. So first it went into that very health side. So I became a certified health coach. I've tried like 100 different diets and protocols and everything, always trying to heal. And later I became a registered holistic nutritionist because I wanted to go deeper into that world. So it really started in the physical realms. And in that's where I discovered the spiritual aspect. I'm a very spiritual person. I mean, to engage in Reiki or anything like that, you definitely don't have to be spiritual, but I am. And that's how I approach all things in my life. But I had gotten really disconnected from spirituality because my mom was super religious. She was a Jehovah's Witness, and we definitely just had some innate differences in what resonates with us, and we still do. But especially as a child, like, I felt very open, and the things she said to me, it just didn't really make sense with what I felt inside. So I got lost. I thought maybe I didn't believe in anything. Maybe I was an atheist. Maybe I was agnostic. I got lost for a while. And I had really bad anxiety start in my early 20s. I think I was about 22, and I had a year of this severe anxiety attacks every day. They put me out. They exhausted me. So that's what really got me into the more mental health and spiritual side of, you know, the holistic spectrum. It's not just physically what you put in your body, but it's like, are you taking care of your mental health? Do you have trauma sitting around that you need to work through? That's when I started seeing a counselor, which I still see counselors right till this day. I saw one yesterday. I love them. And that's where the spirituality came in, because it was like this fear of death came up with these anxiety attacks. And I had to really connect to what resonates with me, because how I was living, viewing the world, and feeling about afterlife was not sitting right with my soul. So it gave me so much, because I had a year of my life where I struggled immensely, but I was really able to, you know, develop a love for yoga, develop a love for meditation, get into, you know, supporting my mental health, get into spirituality, get curious, get connected again, started, you know, a prayer, like I pray to angels, and it just came one day. It was like, all of a sudden I was like, I just prayed to an angel, and it was like, oh, like, where did that come from? I thought that was a religious thing, which doesn't resonate with me, but I'm like, I just stopped getting so in my head and tried to really get into the feeling of what resonated. So through all the jobs I've had in my 20s, and you know, I've been a receptionist and an office manager. I've worked at wellness centers with naturopaths, and I've worked at, you know, I've worked for in HR, and I've done all kinds of things. I've also worked for myself. I've worked as a nutritionist and a contractor. I do Reiki and tarot, and I've done meditations and ceremonies. So like through all these things, I've always been kind of on that journey of developing my spiritual side. And I think it's a lifelong for me, really. So I don't think there was really not much before.
Kind of interesting how you're like creating your own system of belief. Like you're not just sticking to something or like the rules of something. Like it's just a bunch of different things all together. And yeah, that's amazing.
I really resonate with that. Like I'm super open-minded, and I love new experiences, and I will try anything. Like I've done Vipassana 10-day sits, and I'm
so curious about that. I don't think I could stay silent for
it was really intense, but it was a great experience. But like all these different things, I've done mediumship training, and like, I just get curious. I'm like, maybe it'll resonate, maybe it won't, but I'll take from it what feels right.
Yeah.
And I'll leave behind the rest, because that is really who I am. And that's what sits right with me is, you know, discovery and growth and learning, and then taking from it what works for me personally. And then just respecting the rest isn't meant for me personally.
I think a lot of kind of holistic practitioners, or especially nutritionists that we have interviewed, I think they go into their practices, you know, they have experienced health issues themselves or emotional pain. And I think, you know, to your point, therapy, I have also started resuming my therapy session, and it's been, I mean, not only, I think with COVID, I think, you know, all of the problems that we have in our lives just are kind of magnified. You know, you know, there's no way, as she said, there's no way to escape. Like you're just, you're kind of, you know, you're stuck, you're physically stuck. So I think it's great that you kind of not advocated, but, you know, just saying that, hey, like I love therapy and it's working, it's helping.
Oh, I advocate for therapy 100%. Like,
I think that certain people still, there's like a certain stigma associated with it. You know, if you go see therapy, there's something wrong with you, especially with men. I've noticed men in my life that
men and older generations, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So your Instagram handle is Holistic Abundance. How did you come up with that name, and is there a significant meaning behind it?
Yeah. I wish there was like a cute story or like,
Yeah.
it was literally 2 months of like brainstorming to find what felt right. A good friend of mine, Leah, she's she was with me in the beginning of my Reiki journey, and I used to give her Reiki, and in exchange, she built me my first website, and she does all my graphic design, and we've just always trade that way. I'd give her a session and she'd do some work for me because she was building her profile. And, so I'd run things by her, and I'd make these lists, and I'd think of something and I'd put it on there. And I was really trying to like dive deep into, what do I want it to be? What is my business? What does this mean to me? And it needs to represent me as a person as well, because, I don't know how my business will evolve. I'm always learning, changing things, my focus will shift. So I need it to encompass that ever changing, ever growing model. And that's who I am. So it was like, I'm a holistic nutritionist, and I really resonate with that mind, body, spirit. That's what holistic means. I don't want to just treat someone with, one tool. I really want to be able to fill in wherever I can help on any side of the spectrum. I find Reiki is really good for, physical pain and relaxation, releasing emotion in the body. It's also amazing for mental health. People can gain clarity from that period of time in a meditative, relaxed state. And then it's also good for your spirit and your soul, and, like not having to carry that heaviness and flowing that energy. So I'm like, that's such a holistic practice. And holistic nutrition, like, we learned in school about spirit and spirituality, and it was about, this is more than just what you eat. It's so much more than that. It's, your lifestyle and how you treat your body and how you talk to yourself, and do you have limiting beliefs? So it really resonated with me. So I was like, okay, there's a part of it, but what is the rest of it? And it's, I try to live in a state of gratitude for all of the abundance that I have in my life at all times, because that's where I have found happiness. Every morning, no matter what my life looks like, through the ups and downs and the challenges, which are a promise in this life for most of us, I want to come from a place of gratitude, so that on the hardest days, I can center myself and find happiness and find abundance. And so that word just really resonates with me. It's like, it's just reinforcing for me, and hopefully for others who come across my page or my business, that like, you are already abundant. And who doesn't want an abundance of wellness, an abundance of knowledge, an abundance of, spirituality or healing? So that's real. It was just brainstorming until what really resonated came. And there were some, at first it was Simply Nourished. And then I found, someone else already has that and they're a nutritionist. So I don't want to, impede on, on that. Should have done more research first. So then it was a Simply Nourished Right. And I'm like, it doesn't encompass everything. It doesn't encompass all of who I am, because I was shifting more at that time into the spiritual side of things. And I needed something that represented all that I wanted to do. So yeah, it was really just, a lot of brainstorming until I found what was like, there it is.
No, I think you hit a really good point, that gratitude is sort of it's kind of like a fundamental life principle. You have to, regardless of what you're going through, the ups and especially the downs, I think you have to be grateful for what you have in life. And it is kind of, in order to kind of flow into more abundance, you have to come from a place of gratitude. So
I absolutely 100% agree. And I think that's like one of the most beautiful lessons that we can learn in life. And it's so empowering. And yeah, I'm with you on that one.
So you touched a little bit on this, but what are the health benefits of Reiki, and what can we expect in a session?
Yeah. So Reiki, like I said, it is quite an individual practice. So it's hard to know exactly what's going to come up for the individual, but some health benefits that you might see is feeling more balanced. You could get clarity on some issues that are weighing heavy on your mind. You could feel pain relief, relaxation, deep relaxation in the body. People feel like they just like can let go, and deep rest there when they're having that energetic flow. stuck emotions can relieve, which might be causing pain. They might be causing certain feelings. It gives you a space to allow things to release. There's so many potential benefits that you could get from a Reiki session. I always say the very minimum is deep relaxation and stress relief, like people always say it's like an energetic massage. Like you're just going to
say it felt like a massage. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty common one that I've heard from other practitioners and people who've received Reiki from me, is that it really feels like an energetic massage, and like you just come out of it feeling refreshed. And it's just such a nice act of self-care. Like I'm going to take an hour for myself with my intention and help flow and feel balanced and kind of come back to equilibrium. So yeah, it's it's pretty powerful.
There are different techniques like centering and clearing and beaming. So what do they all mean?
So actually, from the way I was taught was more on intuitive movement. So I've heard of beaming a lot. Like I know you beam when you send energy distance, or when I'm doing a group setting, I'll beam energy. You can beam symbols to people, but the center, I never use the other terms. It's always just, I was taught always just like moving the Reiki energy, and that it'll do the centering it needs to do, and it'll do the balancing it needs to do, and the clearing that it needs to do. You can sweep, like it depends on who you train with and how you develop your practice. And if you see other practitioners, everybody has kind of developed and learned it a little bit differently. So they're terms that I don't really use, but I definitely like have a sense of when I'm clearing and things like that.
Use any tools like wands or crystals?
So it just depends. You really don't need anything with Reiki. It's not required, but I do resonate with using tools when I'm doing an in-person session. I love aromatherapy. I make my own little essential oil sprays for my sessions and roller balls and stuff. And I just think it like kind of helps you go deeper when I'm going over a certain chakra, or I feel something stagnant, or I feel I need some energy to pick up. I can use a spray that I've created with essential oils that relates to that, to what I want to do. And then it just kind of, I always notice people just like, they sink in a little bit deeper, and they kind of like, the smell just brought me to presence. Cause you can, kind of go off, and it's like, it brought me back. So I really like using aromatherapy with Reiki. I've also used sound healing. So I'll do Tibetan bowl clearing on the crown, on the feet, sometimes over the solar plexus. I've used crystals a lot. I love crystals. They've resonated with me for a long time. Sometimes people bring their own crystals to sessions because they want clearing and charging. And so I'll put crystals on them as intuitively feels right. Or I'll just clear their crystals for them if they want. It just depends really on the person and the session, what's needed. I also tend to talk during my sessions very often, not always, but sometimes I feel like my voice can help deepen the session. So you'll find often with Reiki, it'll be completely quiet and very internal, but it just really resonates with me to prompt with my voice. And kind of when things come up, I'll intuitively ask questions. And I find that this can often help get to the root, because sometimes you need to say it out loud. You need to hear yourself say it. You need to make some noise to allow that to process and release. So I do also view like my voice during a session as being one of the tools that I like to use. So
do you have to do Reiki in person to kind of reap the full benefits? Or can we do this, via virtually? Or, I read something about distant healing where, you can still reap you can still do a Reiki session, through a distance, which, obviously with COVID right now, traveling makes it difficult. So I think a lot of people have been doing, therapy sessions and other, telehealth sessions over Zoom. So in your opinion, is there kind of a difference, or do you think they work both well?
Yeah. So when you do a level 2 Reiki training, they teach you distance. So it's even before the times of COVID, distance Reiki has always been an effective way to receive Reiki. You definitely don't have to be in the same room. I've given Reiki to my family in Toronto. I've given Reiki to friends traveling in Mexico, and and they're ones who've seen me in person too. And they say it's just as effective for them receiving it virtually or across time and space. So I have found in my practice, and I've received from my Reiki master who's in Squamish, I've received distance healings from her several times for myself as well as in person, and I find it does what it needs to do regardless of whether you're there or not. I like in person personally just because I think human touch and kind of that human connection can really like be what someone needs as well. So that's a nice added benefit of in person, but to reap the benefits of Reiki, you absolutely do not need to be in person. And I thought it might be fun if you want to do a little like 5-minute distance Reiki at the end of this, and I can, send Reiki healing. We can do a little meditation, like sit together, and I'll send healing to both of you at the end, and you can kind of see what you feel in a short little, distance session at the end.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, how does it work? Like, is it like, do we kind of have to be facing each other, or can you do it even when we're not?
Nope. You don't need to do anything. Like, okay. I'll very often do a distance session without someone even on the phone or even on FaceTime or anything. Like, you can be on the phone if you want to, but I very often don't find it's necessary. I'll check in before, just kind of get you to relax like you would on an in-person session. So you could lay down, you could sit up with your feet on the ground, feeling grounded, and just try to come to center, open your mind to allowing and receiving. And then I focus in and I send the energy to you just like I would in person, but I visualize where you are, or like visualize you in my head and send it to you that way. And they do teach you how to do that in Reiki training. So any level 2 or higher practitioner would know how to do distance Reiki.
So interesting.
Yeah. You have like symbols and stuff for it. It's like, but Reiki practitioners are trained in that and have the tools to do that very effectively.
And did you ever find that you had an affinity for like a gift for Reiki? Like, do you have to be gifted, or can anyone just be a Reiki practitioner?
Yeah, do you have to have like exceptional intuition?
No. So
can Mia and I become Reiki healers?
Absolutely, you can. And I mean, a lot of people train in Reiki just for their own personal healing and self-development. That training has helped me get into my intuition so much more, trust my intuition, and learn to listen to it. Right. And, I do believe it is, like I said before, an innate gift that all of us have. I don't think anyone's exempt from it. If you have other gifts, you can absolutely integrate them into Reiki. Maybe some people do have an affinity to it where it just like really resonates, and maybe they have an easier time feeling comfortable with giving it to others. Maybe people who train in it just feel that they need it for themselves and their family. It's such a personal experience. I want to be a teacher. I want to become a master. I've been in training to do this, but life has stalled this for me twice now. But I want to teach it because I think it's such a powerful tool for self-development, for, loving yourself, getting into your intuition, protecting your own energy, because a lot of us are empaths, a lot of us are sponges, and we can take on other people's energy and emotions. And Reiki's been a really powerful thing for me in my own life for creating boundaries energetically. So I truly believe it's innate. Anybody can do it. And I encourage anybody who's curious, go do level 1. Go do a level 1 training so that you have the tool for yourself, so that you're attuned to the energy and you feel comfortable with harnessing that energy for your own healing and self-development.
How long is the training?
Oh, it just depends. Like because it's not a like really strict like there's no college of Reiki or anything like that.
Right.
I've found they're different. My Reiki master who I trained with, it was a full day training for level 1. And then level 2 was a full day training. Level 3 was a full day training. And then she does master separate. Some people, level 3, they're a master. She does that as her advanced. And then to become a master through her, you go back through each level as like a teacher's assistant, and you add into the course, and you have case studies that you do, and you learn the attunements. And she does a very thorough master training. But some people do like 1, 2, and 3 in a weekend. Some people have longer courses that go over an extended period of time. It's how much do they want to add in. My level 3 taught me tarot and, creating energetic boundaries and using a pendulum and crystals and essential oils. So it can really depend on the practitioner, but it can be quite a short training. Level 1 and level 2 were just a day each for me, and they were quite affordable. So it is very accessible.
Earlier in the podcast, you mentioned that you manifested a lot of things this year. Do you think that Reiki helps in raising our vibration and our manifestation abilities? And do you think it has helped you in manifesting what you wanted this year?
So Reiki is definitely a very, very high vibrational practice. It put me into a higher vibration. I could feel it. And it changed a lot with how I interacted with lower frequencies and even wanting to drink less. And so I definitely feel like Reiki does shift you into a higher vibration, especially when you practice it consistently. And I think anything that shifts you into a higher vibration, anything that helps you, I think at the root of manifestation is believing that you are worthy, believing that you deserve to receive, which was a big thing for me to learn, that I'm worthy, always learning that one. And then seriously, that's a lifelong one for most of us.
Okay.
And trusting the process, trusting the flow, having gratitude has been a huge one for me. So I've done a lot of manifestation work before the Reiki, through the Reiki process. I'm always kind of using it. So I think, Reiki, I don't directly connect it to manifestation just in my mind and in the route I've gone, but it heightens your intuition practicing, and it gives you a higher vibration, and it helps you love yourself. So I think, in order for me to manifest as effectively as I have, I had to use all that I've learned and all the growth that I've had from that Reiki experience, absolutely, to get me there. I think everything kind of plays a part in it, and I definitely see how it's affected me positively, for sure.
Amazing. Love that. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for being here with us today.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've learned so much about Reiki, and I love energy and positivity. I think you reminded me today that, just trust in the universe and always express gratitude. I think that's definitely an underrated piece of advice.
Yeah, that's my big go-to and standby. It's like the smallest things, gratitude and learning self-love. Like those things are the most transformational things that I've ever done for myself. And they're so small, and they're free, and everyone has access to them, and they're a hard journey, and they take time to cultivate. But that's if I can share anything, it's that. Come back to gratitude, for sure. And do you both want do you want some Reiki right now? Do you have time for a little short send some love and Reiki energy?
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. So
today.
yeah. So you don't need to do anything. You just need to relax. I'd like for you to close your eyes, so you can lay down, you can sit comfy, you can sit up straight, grounded, but close your eyes, kind of slow your breathing a bit, deepen your breathing, just start to kind of come into your body, just starting to feel a little more present. Remembering that there's no expectations for you here. Just be open-minded. Trust that you'll receive whatever it is that you need today, at this moment.
Noticing what you're feeling. Thanking yourself for taking this time. For a few moments of space and rest. And you can open your eyes when you're ready.
I do feel lighter.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's just a quick little tune-up. So, drink a lot of water today. And if anything kind of comes up for you, that energy is still flowing, and that's normal. If you need to, take some time for yourself because some emotions come up or something like that, that is perfectly normal after even just a short little session. So just giving yourself space to listen to your body, listen to your emotions, and stay hydrated. That'll really serve you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Luna Nectar Universe with Mia and Diana. Get nectarized.